What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Tesla Vault. If you guys are new to the channel, hi there. So today I want to talk about some of the downsides that I've noticed of owning a Tesla. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, I own a 2024 Tesla Model 3 long range, and this is the redesign, the refresh, what we call it in the world of Tesla, the Model 3 refresh. But while it's been a great car and a great vehicle, there are obviously downsides. There's no car that's perfect. There's no phone that's perfect, and so on and so forth. So there has been some downsides that I want to share with you guys, again, in my own experience. But there's been more upsides. Like, I really like this car, but some of the downsides I also wanted to share with you guys, because for pretty much the entirety of this channel, I've been talking about how great my Model 3 is, but I kind of want to share about the not so great stuff, and many of these things will apply to other Tesla models too. It may not just be exclusively for the 3. So the first one is going to be depreciation, and it's pretty bad. Depreciation on this is really steep, and EVs often drop sharply in value within the first year. And while that's the same, applicable for a lot of cars, as soon as you drive it off the lot, like, it drops in value by thousands. Teslas tend to drop in value a little bit more, and that is a little bit unfortunate. And some EVs, including Teslas, can lose up to 50% of the value in that time. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but hey, still driving it, as you guys can see, or at least I have it in full self-driving. And then there's Tesla-specific depreciation woes. Some people who have shared their experience, but one owner shared that their 1-year-old Model 3 fell from 50 grand to 33 in just 1 year. That's a $17,000 drop in value in just 1 year. Now, you may come across owners or people online that talk about how depreciation on this car vehicle models, doesn't need to be necessarily the Model 3, aren't the greatest. And I stand by that. I mean, I did look at my trade-in value, and it's pretty bad. And on top of that, I have put over 35,000 miles on this car. Yes, I'm driving this car quite frequently, so it only makes sense that the value is going to drop even more. Now, if I didn't drive that much, which actually my original intent was not to drive it as much as I am today, but priorities change, things change in life, so you kind of have to take action and work accordingly. So I'm ending up driving more and adding more miles to my car, which is not the greatest. Now, you remember how I said some of these downsides may only affect some customers but not all? For example, like glitchy software UI, or having a minimal interior design. First of all, I've never noticed any problems with the software user interface, no glitches whatsoever. Secondly, I have not had any problem with the interior. I love this minimal interior design. In fact, like, I really like this half steering yoke. I've gotten like a lot of negative comments about this, like, why would you ever do that? But I actually really like it, and I don't think I'll be switching back. One, because it's pretty difficult to switch, but also I genuinely like the half steering wheel, the yoke steering wheel. So again, some of these things may only apply to some owners, not all. I like the interior. I don't have any glitches or issues with my software. But there is one thing that I don't like, is the glass roof. And summer is quickly coming to an end, but even then, even if it's like, let's say 65 degrees outside, but the sun is shining, this car gets super hot. And because of that, my cabin overheat protection is always on, and it does drain a little bit more battery than I would originally have anticipated, and I don't like that. And I always have to make sure that I turn on the AC beforehand, because when I get in the car, yes, it does cool quickly, but it's still really warm. It gets not even warm, it gets hot real quickly, and that's because of the glass roof. Now, there are alternatives. You can get like glass roof covers and things like that, which I do have for my back seats, but because I have this camera rig on the front, or like the center front passenger side, right on top of me. I can't really put a screen cover on that. However, if I wasn't using a camera rig, I definitely would. Maybe when I end up finding a different camera angle to, you know, record footage of the interior of the car, or I don't know, whatever the case. If I can find a solution or alternative, I definitely will resort to that and put a cover on the glass roof, because it still does get really warm. Now, there also is the ownership cost and the maintenance, and this kind of applies, and I've noticed this as of recently, especially this year. One is tires. The tire wear is really bad. Like, it wears out much quicker, and it's faster than average vehicles. Again, it's like instant torque. You pick up right away. It just drives super fast, or I'll say quick, not fast. But because of that, you're starting to wear out the tires much quicker. And within 1 year, pretty much exactly 1 year of owning this car, I had to change my back set of tires. A month later, I had to change the front set. So that does say a lot. I didn't have any tread left. It was pretty bad. I was pretty much like no tread at all. So I had to switch. And I feel like right now, even like 6 months later, I think I may have to change them again. I'm not 100% sure, but I may have to, which is why, you know, Tesla now offers, you know, I think it's called tire protection service or protection program or something like that, which I will be getting on this car. So in, you know, whatever case may be, for, you know, tires, I'll be under that. Again, it depends on like the situation, but nonetheless, like, tire wear is a real thing on this car, and it's rough. I don't even remember changing. I probably, with my Honda Civic, having that for 6 years, probably changed the tires maybe once, maybe no, I changed it twice. So right at the very end, before I gave up my ownership of that car, where it wasn't really 100% mine, but you know what I mean. It was the car I was using. But right before I gave up the vehicle, I changed the tires, brand new tires. So I guess, you know, I could have went a little bit longer without changing the tires. So in 6 years, I changed it twice, which is once every 3 years, and that's not too bad. I kind of wish it was like that with this car, but it's not. So that's unfortunate. Oh well. Now, there are high repair costs too. Battery is the biggest thing. So, you know, it can range up to $20,000. Now, the average that I've, you know, seen many times and I've heard is 13,000, which is the 13 to 15. But again, it may go up, it may be a little bit less depending on, you know, different variables. But just make sure that, you know, keep in mind, if your battery does, and hopefully it shouldn't, you know, in 3-4 years time, but in the case that happens, be prepared. And, you know, go on Reddit, you'll find owners talking about this, and it's unfortunate, and hopefully it doesn't really happen to me, but if it does, then, well, got to figure out some sort of a solution. Now, another downside to owning this car, specifically the Model 3, is the Model 3. That's the downside. It's the size of the car. And look, don't get me wrong, I love my Model 3. I really do, but it's not a family car. And I quickly realized that. But at the time, I was, you know, in the market looking for a Tesla, but I really wanted a refresh of either the Model 3 or Model Y. And I knew the Model 3 was coming out sooner. There was leaks and rumors and all that stuff. And Model Y, you know, it didn't come out in 2024. It was unveiled earlier this year in January, February. So it's like either I wait, and I didn't have a car for 6 months. So it's like either I wait another full year or I pick up, you know, a Tesla. And, you know, there's other circumstances in play too. And ultimately I did pick up the Model 3 and I'm really happy with it. But if you are constantly, you know, carrying things, you know, you have a family, it is tight. It's a tight, smaller vehicle. Granted, what I absolutely love is having the frunk. So like if I go on a 2-3 day road trip, I can throw in luggage in the front and that actually it frees up a lot of space in the back. There's that hidden compartment underneath, the trunk, so there's extra storage there. So yes, there are, alternatives to, making things work. But overall, I feel like what I've noticed is this car in size sits between a Honda Civic and a Honda Accord. Honda Accord is a larger sedan, and it's great, even if you have a family. But this is just like, it's borderline. If it was a little bit larger, it would have been great, which is why it's like my next vehicle. I am eyeing for a larger Tesla, whether it be the Model Y Model Y L, what Tesla China calls it. Maybe they'll release that in the US, which as of right now it's looking like it's not going to. There was leaks of like a cyber SUV. That would be really nice, like a Tesla van. Any of these things I would happily upgrade to because it has more space. Absolutely. Those, if those models or those vehicles, rumored vehicles, potential, whatever, ever come to the US, they will most likely be my next vehicle after this Model 3. And again, going back to my first reason of being a downside is owning this car, and the depreciation is like, maybe you should not finance it and lease it, especially if you don't plan on keeping this car for too long. It all depends on financial situations and things like that, and how you see it going. But if viewers plan on short-term, ownership or lease, then financing this car is definitely not going to be. And I'm already thinking differently. Normally, when I first got this car, it is financed. I was like, well, I'm going to use this car for years to come, and I have been debating, should I, pay this car off quicker and kind of switch when a newer model comes out, or should I use it until the very end? And it's like one day I want to switch to a larger vehicle. One day it's like, I can hold on to this a little bit longer and push it out. But I already got more than $35,000. So it's like, because things in life change so quickly, they're a little bit unpredictable. Like, I was not predicting about putting on so much mileage on my car in a year and a half. So that does play a huge role. And from this point forward, if I invest more in making content about, my Tesla vehicles, maybe I just might not finance. Maybe I just might lease. And, every 2-3 years, just plan accordingly, use that vehicle, and then when a new model comes out, pick up a newer model. And I know with lease there's like that mileage standpoint, like how much mileage do you plan on putting in a year, so I'd have to be pretty cautious about that. But other than that, it's like my future plans with owning a Tesla is up in the air, of which Tesla model at least, and how I plan on owning the car, whether it's financing or at that point lease. It's like, do you really own the car? No, because there's no buyback either. But how I plan on using a Tesla, I'll put it that way, how I plan on driving one. All I know is that my next car, throwing these downsides in front of me, I will still be using a Tesla in the future, because I've gotten so used to it. It just has kind of fit my lifestyle. It's fit my workflow. I absolutely love it. I love the software. I love how I get software updates all the time that enhance the hardware on this car too. Like hands-free trunk. That was not a thing when I got the car. YouTube Music integration. That was not a thing before when I got the car. There is now Grok integration. That was not a thing before I got the car. And there's so many other features that have been added. The ambient light adapting to your music or your video song tune, your video volume, sound, whatever it is, and flickering on and off accordingly. What that happened recently. Like, there's so many updates that come so often. It's always something to look forward to. You feel like, wow, I got a brand new car every single time you see these new updates. So that's one of my huge pluses. And I just love the interior, the simplicity. I just get in. Everything is, predictable. I put on my seatbelt. It knows if I want to drive. It knows if I want to go in reverse. I use full self-driving. It's supervised. But it really does help, especially with long road trips. There are more upsides to owning the car than downsides, but those are some of the downsides I have experienced. Maybe you own a Tesla and you may have some other downsides, and I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. Now, a common downside that I see from people who own a Tesla is the build quality and chips in the paint, which actually I do have chips in my paint, but I don't really see it as like a huge downside of mine. It is annoying that I see that chip there, like the paint is gone, but it's not like I'm never gonna buy a Tesla because of this specific reason anymore either. It's like I can get that fixed too, so it's not too much of an issue. But other, build quality, and some people have complained about reliability. I haven't had any problems with this car. Build quality too. Other than that, if you notice, maybe if the screen is, recording, but the ambient light across the front and the dashboard, they're not aligned perfectly. So, well, then again, this was like probably the first batch of Model 3s that was, constructed here in the US. But while the build quality has definitely gotten better from previous models, there's not much creaking and stuff. There still is, but it's a huge improvement over previous Model 3s, and I've noticed that too. And so I haven't really had any complaints. Like, I'm not complaining about it because I see the improvements. And I think the build quality in this is better than what my Honda Civic was. I'm happy with this car. I truly am. So again, let me know in the comments down below what downsides or potential downsides you see in owning a Tesla model. Doesn't matter which model. Again, maybe these downsides may apply to you, maybe they not, maybe they won't. Again, maybe these downsides may apply to you, maybe they won't. Maybe they apply to all the vehicles, maybe they don't. Some may say, oh, Cybertruck is more reliable, or build quality is better, whatever, or new Model Ys are better. It all depends on the user and the driver, the owner, and their experience. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Definitely be sure to subscribe and stay tuned to the channel for more upcoming videos where I plan on, just kind of sitting here in the car in my Tesla, talking about Tesla, sharing my experience, sharing updates about Tesla and things to look forward to and all that stuff. The future of Tesla is bright. There's a lot of great stuff coming in Tesla. 2026 is going to be a great year. Look, we already got Model Y. L was unveiled in China. We're getting so many updates to FSD. The robotaxi is being rolled out, to the general public. We may see more new models come out in 2026. Again, we're still waiting on the Roadster, which has been quite some time, but we're still waiting on that. Apparently it's still coming. We may see that rumored cyber SUV, which, if that happens, that's going to be my next vehicle probably, especially if it's larger than a Model Y. Absolutely, I would definitely go for that. So again, really great stuff coming in 2026 with Tesla, but I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll catch you all in the next video.